Master output at 75.
As long as I hold it right here.
As long as you hold it right there. You cannot move. You have to stay right there for the entire hour we're talking. Just like that, we are.
The crazy thing, I probably could do that.
What?
You know, I'm so used to like stillness that it really wouldn't, you know, affect me all that much.
There you go. How's life been?
Honestly, boy, it's been stressful. This week
Going
is
through a
kind of,
lot.
yeah, it's kind of got to me a little bit mentally. And it kind of your fault, kind of your fault a little bit, you know.
Yeah, it is mine to a certain extent.
Kind of kidding, kind of not, but I don't know. It was just in what sense, you asked. So, I mean, you came to me with this opportunity, and you've been talking to me about trying to get me on board for quite some time right now, but it's never really been real as per se. Is like there's actually an opening. So when you like called me like 2 weeks ago, I was like, oh, like okay, like I gotta actually start thinking about this and applying it. And then Matt sends me that you know, job offer, and you're like, oh, like now it's decision time. So, you know, and the tough part for me, like the only thing that like really holds me back from like saying yes, or was like the hard part, was like leaving my family again, you know. And
Yeah.
with ball, all I did was, you know, leave, and for me leaving's always the toughest part, because it's just like I care about here obviously very deeply. So every time I leave, it's just like, man, it just kind of like, it's very an emotional thing for me every time I leave, just because it's like the only thing I've ever known as far as family, or as far as what caring for something loved is, and all of those things. And so it's like I had to make the decision. I'm real quick interlude. I'm trying to stop saying the word like. So if I catch myself and I start over, that's the reason. Just an FYI.
I did the same thing. I did the same thing about 3 weeks ago. When I was listening to it, I noticed we would say it a lot. So I've been working on it as well. And now this week is, you know, I say you know too much.
It's gonna be one thing after another. So getting back to my story, or what I was talking about, is just making that decision, and having, I don't want to say limited time, but those 3 days, you know, they wanted the yes or no on Friday, and so Friday's coming, and I'm talking to my family about it, and Tuesday's a very casual conversation. Wednesday's getting a more, you know, hard conversation. I'm having to dive into it, while adding on top of that, like I'm still going to work from 8 to 5, and not having a whole lot of time to myself per se to think about it.
Yeah.
And put my full energy into it, because, you know, life still goes on. I still have to cook dinner. I still have to shower. I still have to do all this stuff. And obviously you're meditating, you're thinking on it, you're doing those things. But it just didn't feel like, it just didn't feel that I had enough time to do it. And so Thursday rolls around, and I mean, then the conversation, like Friday is the deadline, and it was just like, man, what am I gonna do? You know. And I remember Thursday I had a shower. I was in the shower, and I was just like, what is my decision going forward? I have nothing else to do.
Is that when you texted me?
No, I think Wednesday night was when I texted you, or I think it was Wednesday night. And I asked you why I would be good, or why do you think it would fit who I am? Yeah. And then Thursday was kind of just, let's figure this out. So I'm in the shower, and the only thing that I could come up with, in all honesty, was why not?
Good.
So
not good for the sense of the company, more like this. I'm just saying good.
Mentally, yes.
Change.
So I'm trying I'm trying to answer the question, why not? So I would sit in that, why not? And I'd have blankness.
Blankness because you can't come up with an answer, or blankness because peace?
I would say, yeah, I mean, it wasn't anxiety proven. There was no racing heart rate. There was no emotion tied to it. It was just like, well, why not? And I never came up with a reason. And I kind of set on it. And
I see. You're trying to come up with a reason as to why not to do it. I get it.
Yeah, and I was like, well, why should I not leave? And it's my only reason that I like, real reason was like my family and not leaving home, and that's what tugs at my heart, like as I kind of preluded to.
Mm.
And so I slept on it and I asked God, give me a sign, talk to me about it, like enlighten me, please. And my mom that night, we had a heated, and I don't want to say a heated conversation, we had an emotional conversation. And it just kind of ended poorly. So I'm laying in bed, struggling with that conversation, how it went. And prior to that, my mom's like, your sister would love to talk to you about it, this and that. So I wasn't going to call my sister at 10 o'clock at night, 9, whatever, my bedtime. I had to get to sleep too. So I called her. I shot her a text that next morning, and I said, hey, she has 2 kiddos, young kiddos. And so I know she's strapped for time. And I was like, hey, just can you give me a call whenever you can? And we had a 35, 40-minute conversation on the way to work. And, it was just like, to me, God was speaking through her in a way, because she was saying or answering my questions for me. She was like, well, take me through it. So I took her through like the decision process and my thought process and what was going on or what I thought of it. And again, and it was kind of crazy or ironic or coincidental that she said, well, why not? And
Yeah.
I was like, that is literally what I was thinking. I was like that
Mm.
in the shower. I couldn't get, I couldn't get past why not, like outside of like, the emotional attachment to mom and dad and this place and whatnot. So it's like, well, I have to, and then the next step forward for me was like, I have to be uncomfortable, because I'm living in this comfort. I've been living in this comfort of and kind of hiding from a lot of life's truths, I guess, or life's burdens, or however you want to phrase it, like the hard things in life of moving out on my own, and taking some leaps. So like this would, one, force me to take that leap. Two, it might lead me down a path that I might love, and then like having you there is kind of like, hey, why not do this? Or like, hey, this is the reason, this is what I love about it, like you're so passionate about what you do. And we kind of have been on that same journey as far as ever since we kind of met each other. Like as I told during the interview, I was like, we kind of think differently as far as like you know day to day, but our morals and our core values are very aligned in such
Hmm.
a manner. So it's like, how do I not, there it is again, how do I not step forward into this? How do I continue to do something that I'm not enjoying and not appreciating and getting stuck in, and not try something new? Like how do I not do that?
Yeah.
So that was kind of like the steps in the process for me of like stepping into this new journey. And for some of you guys, I'm doing sales right now. A little background, and I'm not really enjoying it. I'm selling advertising space, and it's 200 calls a day, and I'm sitting from 8 to 5, really, with an hour lunch break. And I don't know, it's just not me. I don't feel at home. Like, am I getting better at it? Sure. I guess, am I getting more comfortable with it? Is the better way to put it? Sure. It's definitely taught me to be better on the phone, but my confliction with the whole sales process is I feel that, like, or in this specific job, is that I have to feel, well, let me rephrase, I have to sell, or in my terminology, I have to lie, because I don't see it as a need. I don't think this helps a company succeed, what I'm selling. So I
Mm.
see it as so it's like, in order to sell it, you actually have to make it sound good and appealing, and you have to make it be like, hey, like you should do this, like you should. And
To
so
believe in
like
it. Yeah.
yeah, you have to come up with, in air quotes, reasons to buy.
Yeah.
And and all my reasons to lie are BS, pure. You're like, oh, it's a great way to support the team. Well, yeah, sure. But as a player, as somebody that come from that realm, I didn't care what company was in the yearbook. I didn't care what company was on the outfield wall. You know,
Mhm.
like there it is again. In so many ways, to me, it's just so I'm so indifferent to it. If you want to do it, great. If you don't want to do it, like I just don't want to sell you on it but that's my job. So it's like learning how to sell it, and like it's conflicting because I'm going over it, and I'm trying to convince people that it's something that I don't believe in. And then I come on these podcasts and I'm not selling anything. I'm just like the mental processor going to coach. It's like I believe in that. I believe in slowing down. I believe in trusting God. Now, do I always succeed in slowing down? Do I always succeed in having faith in God? No, and those are my sins and those are my shortcomings. But at the same time, like that's the direction that I'm walking in. And now I'm like trying to move from my slowing down and add letting go to it. So I want to slow down and I want to let go. Like I just finished my last journal or one of my other journals for like completed it through, like wrote through it, and I titled that one the art of slowing down, and my new one is what do I love.
Mm.
I just kind of start with a general theme of my journal. Now, not every journal entry is about that, but
What do I love is a great question.
isn't it?
Yeah. The thing is, you could be journaling and you can kind of be shocked at what comes out. Yeah, I do love that. I do love that. And then you kind of learn a little bit about yourself. What have you come up with?
About what do I love?
Yeah.
Well, Luca, I'm only 3 pages in, and
Oh, so this is more of a. This isn't just a normal journal entry. Then this is more of a practice.
yeah. So like you know how you write every night before bed or
Yeah.
whatever. My journal is just titled. I just give myself a theme for each journal,
Hmm.
and because I do I not every day, but 4 times a week I do my better every day journal. So that's just like a scripted, prompted journal that has a theme or a question that I fill out every day. But like when I am spilling over thoughts or need to write more or want to write a story, I get into this my theme journal per se, like my overall theme of what I want to get better at.
Hmm.
So what have I learned about what do I love? I know this. The one thing I have found out, and it kind of goes back to that letting go statement, is the more I let go of holding on to anything, the more love I'm able to give.
The more you let go to holding on to anything, the more love you can give. The more you let go of holding on to anything, the more love you
So um, my perspective is this is like I used to be obsessive or like not let anything go. So that was a problem I was working on within is just letting everything go, and whatever comes back to me is something that I know God has for me. So what I'm saying is when I let my obsession go or when I let my feeling go, all of a sudden what I'm searching for or what I've been longing for is being brought to me. And I don't have to go anywhere.
give. It's kind of like what you said about if you let go of the expectation of what you want to happen, you allow for what needs to happen to happen.
Yeah. So I'm
I thought it
trying
was
to
interesting the conversation you were having with John the day before I reached out to you. That was a pretty crazy coincidence.
yeah.
Did that give you any onus? Because I asked you before in the past, and you're kind of obviously just not sure. Said it again. You said I'm not sure. Or blah blah blah. Well, this time since you had that conversation with John prior, were you a little more kind of just okay. Maybe this is a sign.
You're talking about this job per se.
Yeah, you suddenly had the conversation with John. He's like, I don't know what to do, blah blah blah. And then I texted you the next day. So
Yeah.
you told me. I'm just
So,
curious if it actually that those two kind of happening so close to each other.
well, I've kind of taken this whole opportunity as a God sign because of kind of just what I've been asking him for or like leaning into about is just like I don't know what I want to do. Everybody's like, "Well, what do you love? Like what do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Man, the only thing I known that I've wanted to do was play ball."
Yeah,
And as I told you after that conversation with Sierra,
Senora.
Sierra,
Yeah,
she asked me about my life and I got into playing ball a little bit and she goes, the first person to ever say this is she goes, "You have some pain on your face when you talk about ball." And we kind of dove into it a little bit and whatnot. And one of the things that stuck with me about it was she goes, "Sometimes you have to let go of the past for the future to come to fruition."
she said this.
Yes. We actually had
That's
a very deep conversation. It was like for
that's
short
awesome.
stints, for short
That's
stints.
awesome.
And I might be misquoting her, but that's what I took from it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly.
Um, and so I I I did that interview. I stopped at a coffee shop before work because I had an hour drive to work, and so I had about 15 to 30 minutes in between the end of that interview into work. And so I took my notebook into Starbucks and I got a coffee and I sat down and I just wrote about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, is she right? Am I still hurting?
You know,
Am I
it's
still
I'm not gonna lie to you. I never said this to you. My mom's listens. I'm not sure if she's listened to all the podcasts up to the past 3 or so because she started working at a restaurant with my family, and so she doesn't have as much time. But she's listening to every one. She would listen to everyone on Mondays, Tuesdays, whatever it was. But she would listen to them. And one day we were talking about whatever, and she was saying, I didn't know this about you, just whatever. And she said, you can tell Zach just finished. I said, why? She said, because when you talk about baseball, when sports comes up, baseball comes up, you're a lot more, not open, but you're a lot more just you talking about it. But I can listen to Zach and he sounds like he's sad. He sounds like his tone changes completely and his whole kind of way of talking changes completely when he talks about baseball. I said, really? I didn't really pick that up just talking to you. She was like, yeah, it's just, from just listening, it sounds like he really misses it. And it does, I don't see that with you at all. Wow. She said this about maybe 2 months ago.
I mean, it must be true. And it is true. I definitely, long for it and I
This
miss
isn't
it
a
for
bad,
sure.
this isn't a bad
No,
thing
it's not.
whatsoever. It's part of the journey. Like for me, when I retired, it wasn't, I can't say I was sitting here missing the sport so much because I grew to honestly hate it the way it made me feel, I suppose. But I had this fixation on the prospect of what could have been, what I could have had, the material stuff in terms of my family. Like I set my family up for the future, myself up, and getting all these things that I feel like I deserved for how much work I put in, how good I was, how good I am. You know, that's what took me a while. Seeing all these guys that I know I'm better than making the money and doing the things and having these opportunities, and you know, it was a tough pill to swallow. So I was bitter about it, and it's not something I'm sitting here saying, "Oh, I'm completely over it." But I'm starting to realize that I have opportunities and I have qualities about me that you can you can teach someone a job all you want. You can't teach someone's character. You can't teach someone's personality. You can't teach someone's integrity, and that kind of stuff gives you opportunities to exceed other people who may be more qualified than you because you can't teach for the most part what we have inside. I'm starting to learn that kind of stuff, and people value that. And so I'm starting to see, it's like, well, maybe there is an opportunity for me to really make, something of myself outside of the sport. And it's a good feeling, of course, but it's a lot of hard work because I'm starting from scratch. I started from scratch. I still am a nobody in terms of my profession, what I do. And it's hard when you work your entire life for something. You get to not the pinnacle. We were 2 steps away from the pinnacle. We were 2 calls away from the pinnacle.
If that.
Well, essentially, you have to get 2. I mean, I guess you can go right from double A to bigs, but essentially, you're 2 calls away. So, think about where that started. 6, 7 years old. I'm not sure how old you were. I was afraid to play in front of people when I was 7, so I started when I was 8. Getting your back, going to the little league field down the road. I mean, that's where it started. Think about how long we've been doing it for. So, change is hard. Starting fresh is hard. And I hear these things all the time. I'm sure you noticed in the podcast we talked about last week, and I hear it all the time just in general about people that are super successful. And they say, I've heard over and over again, people who are uber successful aren't afraid to start over. If they have a company that fails, they're not afraid to just start from scratch. And you could argue, well, yeah, they're not starting from scratch because they still have the knowledge. They're starting the company from scratch. They're not starting over for themselves. But at the end of the day, it's like, well, what's really the difference? If you start a new hobby, a new talent, a new something that you have no idea over, and you start from scratch, and you do that 5 times, let's say in your life, which would be an extreme. Let's just say you do that. 5 is extreme. Let's say you do that 3 times in your life. You start from scratch and you become, let's say not expert, but damn near close to it in 3 things. It's pretty impressive. Think about all the knowledge you've acquired in between that phase from being nothing, from not knowing anything to very, very, very knowledgeable. So we're just in that. I'm in that phase. You're going to be in that phase. I'm assuming you took the offer, right? I didn't hear anything else.
Yeah.
So, like I told you, man, this first 6 months was what, from my experience, was the toughest. That imposter syndrome. We talked about it. That's what I felt like. But it doesn't have to last forever. But you said you're 3 pages in. So is this more of a narrative type of thing in terms of history, in terms of things you've experienced and things you loved, or is it more bulleting things out? Or I'm sure you're not bulleting, but
so it's overflow, and it, like I said, it's a theme.
Not as a, I don't want to ask you to summarize 3 pages of stuff. It's personal, but what have you noticed is one thing that? What have you noticed, something that kind of shocked you, that you love, or maybe something you thought you loved that didn't really come out? I mean, if that's possible.
Well, I first off, what I noticed is I found it hard to start. Whereas, like, the art of slowing down, I found myself looking back on all the times I rushed, or the times in the future, like, noticing that. So a lot of it right now is awareness and building awareness for what I love and what brings me happiness or what brings me peace. And I'm a little fraudulent right now because obviously I just started, so I kind of just spitballing too. I'm thinking out loud, And like I said, most of it is just like building awareness for what is it, and I'm trying to find that next passion that I can pour myself into, like I did ball.
I feel like that's a tough question. That's like saying I want to go get married. What has to happen in order to get married?
A lot of things.
So find your passion. Did you know you were even going to be passionate about baseball, let's say, when you started? No, you just did it. Now you're 29 and you have passion. 29 or 30? Are you 30 yet?
No, I just turned 29.
Yeah,
come
29.
on,
I was about to say 29.
Now. Come on.
I knew 29. I was like, wait. He's not 30, is he? Fuck.
Oh
Um,
man.
but
So real
you don't
quick
know
before
passion really.
no, I'm not really, no.
No, no, I take that back. You know passion, but you can't go out with the purpose of finding it. Kind of just happens.
Correct. So yeah, I'm like I said, I'm just trying to build the awareness that of the things that, bring me what I think love is.
I suppose
So it's
passion and love yeah, they're definitely they ride a fine line for sure.
yeah, there's just a dark side to passion. You can take it too far.
Yeah, you can.
I mean, you can take anything too far, but that's like
Hmm. Yeah, that'd be a interesting slide to go down. We started talking about that.
yeah. What passion? Well, I mean,
No, the dark side of passion.
well,
That had
yeah.
a
Go ahead.
I don't know. That had like a really negative undertone. I was here. I'm
So what I mean by that is you can get so obsessed, like so into passion that it turns egotistical or it turns sinful or it turns violent,
yeah.
you know? So, but like passion can also be beautiful and not and godly and spirit uplifting and all the
Hmm.
other things too. So like that's kind of what I was getting at too is like as fruitful as passion can be, there's also that flip side of the coin of
Do you think it's fair to
uncontrolled.
say? Do you think it's fair to say that if you can, what do I want to say? Do you think it's fair to say that if you're someone who practices not acting on emotion and acting on, let's say, reason, and not allowing yourself to act certain ways just because you're feeling a certain way, that passion, the dark side of passion, has less of a chance to come out? Because the way I don't know if I'm the only one, but when I think of a dark side to passion, I think of you love someone so much you almost like you just have this thing, jealousy and greed and lust and all these things. That there's the bad side to it too.
Exactly.
But if you don't act on the emotion of those feelings in those moments, you let go of that version of yourself that you are in those moments. You know, um, if you allow yourself to, if you do not allow yourself to act in those states of recognition of knowing you're not yourself in those moments, you can alleviate a lot of issues, I believe. And those are a lot of things that Jordan Peterson's talking about. Psychologists talk about a lot. It's almost breaking yourself down into different characters and be able to distinguish when you're in those moods. And then and then of course we've talked about, okay, recognizing the mood you're in, but knowing who I am at my best, at my core, who I am. Okay, well, I'm in this mood, but I'm gonna act. I have to act like this person no matter what, because that's me. That's the person I'm proud of. That's the person that I've worked to become. That's the person that I'm I'm acting like. I don't know how. I mean, kind of like what we talked about last week. You make a decision to act in accordance to what you believe God wants you to, how God wants you to act. You decide who that person is. You're not always going to be in the state to be with that person, but you have to act like that person. And not to change the topic or anything, but I think that passion can that dark side to it can, the negative side to it can definitely be kind of steered away from if you just control your actions a little bit or your emotions. Um, you were saying something. I apologize.
I don't know. The just to go off you a little bit is it for me it's a building awareness because letting go one of something that I had passion for and that I loved as
Mm-hmm.
far as doing it for a job, and two, I'm trying to build the awareness for what did I love about ball, what was so attention grabbing, what was so like heart compelling to continue to play, and why did I do it. So building that awareness and having an understanding of, I don't know if the process is the right word, of that journey, of that adventure, of those years of my life. Why did I chase it so hard? Why did I do those things?
Because all you knew,
Maybe. But
possibly.
I do know this, and I don't know how you feel, but being on the mound with the game on the line and the ball in your hand, I can tell you this, I was alive. I was there every time. I might not have succeeded every time, but I was there. And to me, I have yet to capture that sensation elsewhere. The only other time I probably have captured that sensation was whenever I got the speed wobbles on my longboard for the first time.
Mm.
Because I was literally afraid to die or crash, per se. I wasn't going to die, but it would have hurt.
People don't experience that type of adrenaline,
Rare.
and we live in that state for 6 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's why athletes, especially professional athletes, that dealt with that stress, dealt with those situations and became comfortable in them and learned how to be themselves in them. That's a big one. How you just be you in those situations on the mound. Just do what you do, be you. You can't expect yourself to perform like yourself if you're not yourself, thinking like yourself. So being able to be comfortable in those situations and learning uh, those skills, I guess. I think that's why people are so keen on hiring extra professional athletes, because they know to a certain extent what they're getting. They're not all the same, of course. You and I, same company will be, hiring two of us. We're not going to be the same, but there's going to be something that we have that no one else has. And I'm not saying it makes us so much better. That's not what I'm saying.
Well,
But in dealing with these situations with surgeons and dealing with situations in high pressure situations in the operating room, I don't know. I just notice I don't get flustered. And I hear stories of other people and the way they talk about it, I don't feel that way. Because my instinct is just to fix it. My instinct is to make it happen. I don't know. And I'm not going to be naive enough to think that, or ignorant enough to think that my playing background doesn't have anything to do with that.
well, I was listening, and I did want to cut you off, but the thing that I was gonna say is that the pressure thing. There's no amount of pressure. Like, employers know who you're gonna be whenever there's a pressurized situation, and there's no other field, or I don't know. Maybe I'm ignorant to any other field um, that applies that type of pressure. So if you're an athlete and you make it to the professional ranks, that means that you understand what to do when the pressure is turned on.
Mm-hmm.
So when life gets tough, when job gets tough, employers know that an athlete has already been there.
Yeah.
So then you have a consistency or a background of, like, it might, like, it's not going to be all cherries and rainbows starting this new job, but you're going to know the consistency that is going to show up,
Yeah.
because the
You
pressure
know,
has the pressure's already been applied. Go ahead.
going off your what you just said about, other, you don't know about other situations that bring that type of pressure. I haven't had many, but I remember one. And granted, I was the one experiencing it. Like, I was watching it. I wasn't feeling it. So different. But when you see a surgeon make a mistake and the patient's going to die in 5 minutes if they don't fix it, being in those situations, dude, and seeing them handle themselves and just fix it, and seeing the blood pressure start to be really, really slow. And then the noises are really slow. And then it gets under control all of a sudden. And seeing the direct correlation as to what's going on, my heart, like I specifically, I remember one time as a cardiovascular surgeon, there's an approach they do where they go through the stomach to do a spine surgery called an ALIF. You'll learn all about it. And the reason they need a vascular surgeon and not an orthopedic surgeon is because basically they go through the front. There's a lot of things they got to go through to get to the spine. The aorta is right there. So the vascular surgeon moves the aorta over, clamps it to the side so they have access to the front of the spine, front of the lumbar spine. And that's how they decompress the disc. They take the disc out, put a new one in, but they have to move the aorta. So the orthopedic surgeon, he does all that, but the vascular surgeon moves it over. So anyways, this one specific one, he's one of the best in the world. He clipped the aorta by accident. I don't know what happened, but this person lost 2 pints of blood in a matter of, or 2 liters of blood in a matter of 2 minutes, maybe. And you see the blood just accumulating, just giant tubs, and they're refilling it. And just it goes from being 3 people in the operating room to every person that's on the operating room wing. 5, 6 nurses coming in, 3 anesthesiologists rush in. It's just like 25 people in there before you know it. And this vascular surgeon's sitting there. He's not even breaking a sweat. He just realizes what's going on. He's just fixing it up, whatever. And he's just doing his thing, not even looking up, not like just fucking focus. I'm sitting there. I'm just like, I see my monitoring stuff, the left leg, the sensory pathway that we're monitoring. I'm not getting any blood flow. The way he clipped it, that whole blood flow just got basically shot. So no blood's going to the left leg. All our monitoring gets shot. That left leg, if it keeps going that way, probably can lose that leg if he doesn't fix it in enough time. I mean, that'd be the best case scenario, I guess, to a certain extent, if it's between that or the person dying. But obviously that's terrible. And so I see this stuff happening. I'm like, holy shit, this is real. And then 3 minutes go by, whatever, 4 minutes go by, and the orthopedic surgeon's kind of backed off. He's just kind of watching because he can't do anything. He's just like praying he can fix it. All of a sudden, Dr. Patel is just, all right, we're good. And everyone goes back. The monitors just go silent. Everything is quiet. My monitoring, the blood just starts flowing to the left leg again. I see all the normal amplitudes and all the peaks and everything going back to normal. Like nothing happened. And the vascular surgeon, they move the aorta, they clip it. The guy starts doing the decompressing the disc. Vascular surgeons chill. And you sit there and you're just thinking. You're just like, what if that guy could have literally died? And it's sad, but they learn to be in these situations because they've been on the other side of it. A month goes by, I hear a story of the same doctor. Not like he's not malpractice. The guy is one of the best in the world. This approach is terrible. A lot of doctors won't do it. Orthopedic surgeons won't even offer it to their patients because it's that risky. The patient passed away. It was like a 50-some-year-old woman, bled out. And there's nothing you can do about it sometimes. But being in those situations and witnessing that person and seeing how they handle themselves, it's made me realize that this is fucking serious. And I've never experienced anything like that before. No matter the situation, no matter what's going on, World Series, Game 9, bottom 9th, I've never experienced anything like that. But what I found is I'm drawn to those situations. And I don't mean that to be a masochist. I want the best for the patient, of course. But those situations, dude, it brings out the best in certain people. And you better hope that the person who's in charge in those situations is one of those people.
Right.
So
yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the stuff you can see on a daily basis if you just hang out in the operating rooms, dude. Yeah, It's nuts.
But what he didn't do was panic from the
Not once.
sounds of it.
Not once,
No.
dude. As a matter of fact, when the whole thing happened, 2, 3, like a month or so later, after when the patient actually passed away, the nurses and stuff in the operating room, because like 2 days later, they were talking about it. They were pissed off. They were saying, "Oh, he's a piece of shit. You know, he has no emotions. This patient passed away, and he doesn't even care. He just acted like, what is he gonna do? He didn't even say anything. He didn't act he just got out and left." And part of me wanted to say, I get where you're coming from, but then part of me wanted to say, that's why you don't do his job, because you can't handle yourselves in those situations. What do you want him to do? Fucking crawl up on the ball and just start crying? Because the odds are he probably has 5 of those same surgeries that day. What do you want him to do? Be scared to do the next one?
No.
So part of me wanted to be like, well, that's why you're not him. He is the way he is. He's that good because he knows he did everything he could. Yeah, of course, but he just is the same no matter what. And I don't mean to say he doesn't feel bad, of course, when things happen. Of course he does. He's the one that has to go to the family and tell them, God, imagine that situation.
Yeah, but like the way you described it is his level. He increased his level instead of decreasing his level. Like,
Oh, 100%.
He stepped up and he
step,
took charge.
yes.
And like if let's just say it would have went poorly, like he would have been the guy that knows that he would have taken all the responsibility.
100%. 100%.
So those are the guys that you want. You know, hey, I messed up, or hey, like, and then whenever they do succeed, like, no, that was my team did that.
Exactly.
So
He's one of the best in the world for a reason. Literally one of the best in the world. And there's really no questions about it. But
that had to pump your heart a little bit too, just like being in that,
I was literally 5 feet behind him, because I'm right next to the surgeons when they're talking, because I'm communicating with them. I'm telling them what's going on. I'm literally, it's a triangle: surgeons, me, and anesthesia. We're just right next to each other, and I was just watching him. It was weird. I understood. I saw the left leg going, but at the same time, I told the surgeon, right? He said, "Yeah, I know. I know what's going on." He's fully aware. And then at that point, then I can't really do anything. I've let them know what's going on, and I just watch. And he just handled himself in that situation incredibly. He just did his job. He just bared down and just fixed it. And this wasn't a little, you can't imagine looking at what they're looking at, because I see it through the microscope. You're going to see it. They know what they're looking at, dude. And it's literally a microscope. They just look at red. There's things, this and that. There's nerves, there's veins, there's tissue. They just know exactly what they're looking at. Literally, if he did not patch up this aorta, fix it the way he did in those minute and a half, whatever it was, patient would literally die like that. And it's incredible. It's incredible. But those high pressure situations you don't see on a daily basis. Doing a normal job, no matter how successful you are, no matter how stressed out you want to say your job is, or stressful your job is, how much it stresses you out. I'm not saying you're not just in feeling that. Of course, everyone is right to feel what they feel, but certain situations are truly stressful because there's a lot on the line. Typically, it's not just money. So, I have been fortunate to see that the things that I found stressful, people experience way more stress than that. And it almost humbles you a little bit. Makes you realize, okay, I got to step it up. I'm capable of more. I'm capable of holding on more. So, will I ever be in the situation the vascular surgeon was that day? No. Never. But the fact that he's capable of that, of keeping his cool in those situations, makes you realize, okay, I can be too. And you just do
Do
it.
you get to do you get to talk to that guy? Like, is there, if you could ask him a question about it, what would you ask him?
I talked to him. I talked to a lot of the surgeons. I mean, I talked to obviously all of them. I work with them, but um, I've yet to have that comfort in talking to them about that stuff. Why? I think because I partially don't feel like I'm on their level in terms of having that discussion about something so intricate. I don't know I don't know vascular stuff. I don't know the anatomy the way he does. So I almost feel like I don't even know how to go about that conversation with him. But
Well,
if
I
just in
just
terms of mindset, you're talking about mindset, like how he's
yeah
feeling in those situations.
yeah.
Yeah, if I get closer with him, I definitely, something that would definitely come up in conversation at one point. Um, but
I
yeah, I
just
haven't
mean, like,
really.
how did you get to that level of calmness when you know that life and death is on the line? You know, that would be, that was my question whenever you were telling the story.
Yeah,
I don't know if I would have the like the ability to hold that question back. I don't know.
I think I think the honest truth though would be because he's been on the other side of it.
Of death?
He knows what he's felt when he wasn't able to save the patient,
Well, yeah.
and everything gets desensitized to a certain extent. He probably doesn't look at it like, oh, this patient's gonna die. He looks at it like this is an opportunity for me to do my job, essentially. Just doing the job, exposing the aorta. I feel like he can do it in his sleep. He doesn't even use anything. He uses his hands, dude. He just goes in and just fucking moves it. He doesn't even use a microscope. He doesn't use anything. All the other guys using all these things, his glasses and lights and blah blah blah. He uses his hands. He can do it in his sleep. So I feel like those those situations for them are like, oh wow, this is a rush. This is cool. I didn't think I was gonna be able to do this today, but um, it's hard to explain. You're gonna see it. You're gonna understand. These guys are different breeds. They're really good guys for the most part. They're different. I've never experienced being around people like that before. It's a combination of brilliance with confidence, borderline cockiness, which you have to have. Doctor, I'm talking about. People hate him because they think he's a prick. I don't think he's a prick. I think he's just so good that they can't fathom being that good at anything. If you're that good at something, I'm not saying it gives you okay to be a prick. When you're that good, you act a certain way. You have a confidence about yourself. Not that you sit here and you think that everyone else is a piece of shit, everyone's below you, but you walk with a confidence. I don't know. I can't explain it. You just do.
Well, you
There's
just
nothing wrong with
like,
that.
you're so used to you. To me, I crave pressure. Especially in game.
Mm-hmm.
So like whenever you're not in pressure, it's just like relaxing, and you come off as your shit don't stink. I know it does.
Yeah. Well, think about it, right? To go off your question before, like how does he keep his calm, right? Granted, were you ever in a situation to where the person was going to die? No. But someone may ask you that's never played the game before, right? Never played never played baseball, let's say, or never played professionally, right? And they see you in the ninth inning, they see you in the top of the eighth, or bottom of the eighth, or whatever it is, and you have the lead, and you're just holding. You got 3, 4, 5, and it's a high pressure situation. They come in, you come in on second and third, you're up by one, like 1 out, and you just got to make it happen, right? People ask you, it's like, oh well, how do you go out? How do you stay calm in this situation? How aren't you super jittery, right? But you've experienced yeah, you're focused on what they're doing in the moment. But I'm saying more so, you've been on the side, you've walked off the field after letting up a walk-off home run in a huge situation. You've done that. And you probably did, afterwards, did you feel any less like yourself, any less of yourself? It just, it is what it is. You realize that life goes on. You realize that I'm me, no matter what. It doesn't mean I'm not, I don't care what happens. No. But you also realize that I have a family at home. No matter what I do, I'm me at the end of the day. And you just go out and do you and be you. Doesn't mean that outcome's going to be the same all the time. No. But you're going to be the same afterwards. That's the goal.
Yeah. No
So
doubt.
I think it's the same principle. It's just different levels of stress.
Yeah, you're just a little sad. You wish the outcome was different, but like in the situations that I have had that happen, it's like I've pitched well. I've performed out of my shoes well.
Yeah.
It's like that, what else was I supposed to do? Like I'll never, like I don't know. I kind of want to tell this story because I actually had to relive it the other day, and the guys were asking me about my playing career in the office, I guess. And they were like, "Oh, we want to see you give up a nuke." And I'm like, "Okay, we can do that." Like
Yeah.
that's just they just didn't think that that's the way I would handle it, I think. And so probably the biggest home run I've ever given up was game 2 of a super regional at Vanderbilt, and it was a walk-off home run to JJ Blade.
Oh, that's who hit it?
Yeah. So I came in the 6th or 7th inning, and I threw 2 1/3 or 2 2/3 of 1-run ball, and Vandy's turf, and Harrison Ray hit what should have been a double that turned into a triple. Obviously, the situation makes it way bigger of a game, but he turns a double into a triple because the ball gets to the wall on turf. If in any grass field, that ball is a routine double, maybe even a single, depending on your outfielders. So I get like 2 outs, or I get like an out, and then there's a sac fly, and they score. So it's a tie ball game going into the 9th inning to kind of set you up for it. And dude, I paint 2 sliders. 2 sliders. Like I'm telling you, like it was my pitch. 0-0 slider. I mean, I would have, if pitch tracks were on there today, it's a strike. It had to have been. Like it wasn't off. It wasn't down. Like it was there. 1-0. Balls it. Next pitch. Same pitch. Balls it. And I kind of got that like, oh, like that's annoying as shit. So coach calls an away heater, and I had slid step all the pitches to this point. Nobody's on base. Okay, I think I had 1 out in the 9th, or maybe no outs in the 9th. I don't really remember that part of it. But all I remember is the next pitch. I was like, oh, like I was like, oh, I'm gonna leg lift and throw a heater. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna throw the hell out of it. So I did that. And I left it arm side so if I was going away and I left it arm side, it was middle down, like lefty's sweet spot, dude. And Blade, like great hitter, put a great swing on it and drives this ball to deep center field. And me being the pitcher that I am, I was like, that's gone. Like I know it's gone. And I'm watching my center fielder Jake go back. I'm like, Jake, please catch it. Like do something cool. And obviously it goes over the wall, and you're just sitting there. I'm like, it hurt. You watch the ball go over the fence, you're like, game's over. And it's just like, okay. Wow. And that was it. And so I had to, obviously in those games, you got to do the press room conference, and I'm pissed. Obviously, I don't want to talk to anybody. You have to answer the questions and whatnot. But that's irrelevant. I go out to talk to my family and whatnot after the game. And my sister's in tears, and I'm not, I don't want to say I'm happy. I'm not happy by any stretch of the imagination, but like, I'm just not, like, I'm calm. It's like, okay, well, I literally, like, my thoughts about it were I pitched well.
Mm-hmm.
I did,
exactly.
I did, like, and what the pressure amounted to a heroic situation. Like, not looking back, that was a cool moment to be a part of, like, an absolute thrilling moment to be a part of. And I just happened to be on the wrong side of the ball.
Yeah.
But what was I going to do about it? So I don't know. That's one of my favorite moments, and those 3 games were probably some of my favorite times on a ball field. But that's beside the point.
Dude, some of my best lessons in pro ball, my best lessons in pro ball are after I struggled, I failed. And it sounds so cliche, but I'll go into it. I remember distinctly my first pro season. I got called up to high A, and we're in Peoria, whatever. I wasn't throwing fairly well, and it was a new team. You'd think I was, just being around the new guys and stuff was always for me. It was always a transition period. I never felt super at home from the beginning. But I remember specifically, dude. "Pray to God" was a song that uh that was like listened to at the time. And the song "Pray to God, I Won't Talk Back." You know what I'm talking about? It's I forget
Yeah,
who the singer is,
I don't know
but
either.
it's like an EDM. But anyways, and I was out there. I failed. I threw like shit, really, for the most part. In terms of results, hitting my spots, doing my thing, but just getting hit around. And for the longest time, a lot of the anxiety that I felt prior to outings and stuff had nothing to do with going out there and like how I was going to do. It was more of a matter of being afraid to not do well, being afraid to not go out there and suck and almost be stuck with myself afterwards. I don't know. I can't explain that part of it, but I remember distinctly this moment. I go out there. I just basically get hit around. I could easily feel like I'm not good enough. I know it's not the case. I remember I was the last person in the locker room. I was journaling, whatever, and I remember the only thing I could think of was just positives, 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 positives. All like I had 30 positives. And then I'm listening to this song, just vibing out, taking a shower. To anyone else, they would have been like, "This guy doesn't fucking care. He didn't throw well." You know what I'm saying? That's someone else watching and be like, "He doesn't give a shit." But to me, I remember I felt this power in that moment, whereas I was able to detach from that fear and say, "Oh, I'm still me afterwards. Like, I'm still me after I go out there and suck." And then you go out and do well, and then you feel the same. And it was like it's like a powerful moment. I remember specifically that moment. I was just like, okay, I don't need to go out there and be and do well all the time for me to feel like myself, or for me to feel like I threw well. I can throw well and not. I can throw well and get hit around. Doesn't mean that it was a bad outing. And then I started realizing the perception is everything. The way you perceive something, the way and the reality of what it actually is, are two completely different things. My perception of my outing versus the reality of it don't have to be together. The reality is I could have sucked. I could have gotten killed. But my perception is I was hitting my spots. I had great quality thoughts. I was present. I had good in between pitch routines. I stayed to me. I did what I did. I didn't let a bad call dictate my next pitch. I stayed positive. Arm felt great. Body felt great. I was moving great. I No walks. Like, there so many positives. And it was a really big moment for me, especially out of a lot of the anxiety, like the performance anxiety stuff that I was dealing with after college and after all that stuff. Um, so it's funny because they say it, and people say it all the time. You hear it. It's like, oh, you know, you shouldn't be afraid to fail. You learn more from failure. And it's so true. And like, you realize it, you live it, and I don't know, you have to be in a certain headspace to actually really experience it. And you're sitting there, it's like, fuck, what am I sitting here being scared for? Not that mean I didn't have anxiety, or I wasn't stressed out before every my outings in pro ball. No, I always was. I don't think that would ever change. I could have been making God knows how much money a year. I still think I would have felt that way. But yeah, I some of those lessons that I learned, same thing happened in double A. Double A was probably the worst I've thrown on a consistent basis for a extended period of time. I struggled for about 2 months straight, you know, and I knew that I was probably at the time the worst pitcher on that staff. I wasn't throwing well. I was struggling. Then I just detached myself. I didn't give a fuck. I was like, you know what? I don't know what's going on right now. I have to figure this out. But when I go to work, I want to go to the field. I'm going to work. I'm going to work on it. But whatever on me. Still dancing in my room. I remember the song by Baby Rexha and David Guetta came out that blue. What is it? What was this song? I'm Blue.
If I'm blue, then I'm green in it.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one, dude. I was dancing. Oh my god, dude, dancing like you can't imagine. I didn't need Steezy. I was dancing, dude, in my room at fucking 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. I was at peace. I was living. I was in between. Before we go to the field, I would go and just I'd go to the pool and lay out and just chill and read. I was chill.
Freedom.
And I didn't. I easily could have been. I had buddies that I was with in high during the year, and that got promoted with me as well, and they were struggling just like I was, and they were, always talking about it, coming to the apartment, and just talking about it and talking about this and that. I'm like, I didn't feel that at all, and it's powerful, dude. You detach yourself from the outcome of what's going on. You're just you no matter what. It's a scary place. You almost feel like you don't care. But borderline, you have to not. There's a fine line between caring and caring too much. And I'd rather border on the side of not caring enough. I don't know if that's right of me, but I really think that's, for me, that works. So the less I cared about the outcome, here it is.
Yes, the more it was given to you.
Yeah.
All right.
So you want to do well, of course, but you're not scared to fail. There's a big, big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Like the saying,
100%.
like, I hate losing more than I love winning. It doesn't mean you it's a similar, not the same, but obviously the sayings are somewhat similar. But
I say that a lot.
Yeah, and it's the truth. Because winning, when you expect something so much, right? When you expect to win and you get it, it's the expectation. But think about the times you thought that you weren't going to win. The times you thought you were going to fail, and then you end up magically doing well. You're like, whoa. And you don't ever feel that. You don't feel that often very much. You usually feel the opposite you usually feel like you're going to do well and then you fail. Especially in professional sports, we're all there for a reason. We all think we're good enough to just beat everyone. Obviously, we're not going to do that all the time. But how often do you remember going into a game where you thought, okay, today's going to go bad, and then it went well, and you're like shocked?
Never. That's never happened to me.
Never. Because odds are, if you're going to the game and you say, oh, this is going to go bad, it's going to go bad. It's going to go really bad.
Yeah, and it went bad. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So, really bad. So, that's one thing. Like, as sports, as an athlete that teaches you, it's just, you gotta.
Well, that level of freedom, like playing with that level of freedom, that nothing equates to that.
No.
What you just went through, like what you just spoke about, I can relate to that.
I'm sure.
That's what I love right there. Like, you want to talk about love? That's love.
Yeah. Speaking of love, what I'm finding that I really love? Carpentry. You're gonna think I'm nuts, dude. Bro,
I already do.
Yeah, fair. Dude, right now I'm in the process of making all this furniture and stuff for the apartment. This is the first place Tally and I are going to be at. Like, it's almost, I want it to be like an oasis, like just our own place, our home, just like I want it to be like just be for her and I, you know what I mean? So we have a backyard, which is nice. A lot of places in the city don't have backyards, so it adds a nice little opportunity to make something really nice. So I went and got a Facebook Marketplace. I made a Facebook account a few months ago just for for other reasons, for like publicity stuff. I never used it, and then all of a sudden, I think you're the only person that followed me on it. I think you, when I go on there onto like when I message people for Facebook Marketplace, you're the only person that I see. It's just your Twins uniform.
I have a Facebook account.
I don't know. I guess I remember.
I guess I do.
Dude, I made one like 2 months ago, and I don't even go on it. I forgot, and I said, "Oh my god, I have one." So I went on Facebook Marketplace, and I found they were free, just like wood pallets, you know. So I went and got like 13 of them, 12 or 13, and I'm making these benches for the backyard for like a patio area. I'm gonna get like a fire pit. I got a grill. I'm thinking about getting trees to board to the side where there's an opening for like not like a privacy, but more just kind of like a nice thing, lights and lanterns we're gonna get, just make it all nice. But anyways, I'm making that, like making those benches. So I finished the whole process of building it, and I have to sand it, I have to stain it, all these things. I'm building a bed frame because the room itself is like 9 feet or 8 feet by 10 feet or 11 feet, so it's not very big, but it has 10.5 foot ceilings. It's so weird. It's basically as tall as it is long. So I see, when I first walked into the room, a normal person maybe would say, "Oh, it's not that big," which everyone says when I show videos. But then it's like, well, you don't realize that there's a lot of room straight up. So I'm building a platform for the bed, so I can use the space underneath the mattress as storage and as I utilize the space. So basically, I'm gonna put my dresser underneath the mattress. I'm gonna build stairs that kind of go up to the platform. And on the back end of behind the dresser and stuff, I can use for storage and stuff, so that I can utilize the space where the mattress would be sitting and just basically wasting. I'm looking up at 9 feet of just nothing. So I'm building I'm building a platform bed that's about 3 feet tall to be able to fit the stuff underneath. So I can do that. So I'm building that. I was doing that yesterday. I'm gonna go and finish that, or not. Hopefully finish that. My sister's boyfriend. He works for the union. He has HVAC, so knows how to do all this shit. So he's helped me a lot, big time, for like cutting all this stuff and all that. But I really enjoy it. I have this passion. And I don't know if it's so much the passion for the carpentry or if it's just interior design. Dude, I'm just sitting here. I can't think. I need to be studying for this CNM exam. I haven't studied in over a week and a half because free time, I'm sitting there scrolling through Facebook Marketplace, just trying to find more things, or I'm shopping for things for the apartment because of things we need, or I'm doing this, or I'm going here. Like, dude, it's the little small details. I'm just constantly, I'm focused on. I am so fixated on, but I love it. I love I don't know if it's the interior design part of stuff, but I love it. I love it. Yesterday at Home Depot, I see these what are they called? Abrodites, these trees, and I see them in person, and I'm smiling. I'm like, oh my god, I can get these. I'm like, I can put these next to each other. They're gonna grow. I'm like, holy shit. These are the things. I didn't realize that I love this as much. And I was at my godfather's house a few days ago, and I was talking about it. He's like, "Are you sure in another life you weren't a carpenter or something?" Because I'm telling him like all the square footage and all the distance and dimensions of the place and what I'm gonna do with it. And I'm like, you're not the my sister's boyfriend told me the same thing, and yeah, it's so much fun. I really enjoy it. Like just the carpenter work and stuff. It's been awesome. So
good, cool.
That's been cool. But
I know you got to run, so we can close her down.
I gotta go back to building. Yeah, but
well, Jesus was a carpenter, so
yeah,
by trade. There you go. your pathway to him. Well, thanks for joining us. Lovely conversation as always, and we will see you guys next week.
Alrighty, peace.